bench couldn't believe it. There was the Celtics were favored in this first game, but the Bucks made it look easy. Final score there, 101-89. The Bucks taking game one here in the second round. Let's welcome in Colin Ward-Henninger to talk about what we saw here in game one from the Bucks and the Celtics there. Look, we talked to Avery Johnson earlier, and he said he was bullish on the Bucks, and boy, was he right. What are your big takeaways from this game?
Man, the champions, right? They came out and showed this young upstart Celtics team. You know, people are like, hey, are they the favorites to win the championship? The Bucks said not so fast, and it all starts with Giannis Antetokounmpo just proving why he's the finals MVP, why he's arguably the best player in the game right now. He came out with purpose, he came out with intensity, and what he did was in the first quarter, he didn't try to do it all himself. Yes, Chris Middleton is out. Yes, he knew he had to have a big game, but he was taking what the defense gave him, getting his teammates involved, and then everything just rolled from there. So the Bucks got exactly what they needed. They got contributions from up and down the roster. Jrue Holiday was outstanding on both ends of the floor. They basically played a perfect game defensively. So you have to be extremely happy if you're a Bucks fan. And if you're a Celtics fan, you have to be a little worried after all the success that they had at the end of the regular season and then in the first round that they kind of got punched in the mouth in this first game at home.
So talk to us about the Celtics then. What went wrong for them in this one?
Well, the Bucks were really good inside on defense. So the Celtics were trying to get to the basket. They were running into arms and length and bodies. And what they had to do was kick it out for three-pointers. And that's the Bucks game plan. They do this throughout the regular season. They've done this for the past, 5 years under Mike Budenholzer. They allow a lot of three-pointers, and the Celtics were willing to take those, but they weren't getting them from the right players. They were getting them from Al Horford, who's a good shooter, but isn't a volume shooter. Guys like Marcus Smart, who the Bucks will live with. If he's gonna make 5 threes, so be it. So they were taking the shots that the Bucks wanted them to take, and then the Bucks were just stopping them inside on defense. Jayson Tatum was incredibly frustrated. You could see it throughout the game. Basically, what the Celtics did to Kevin Durant last series, that's what the Bucks did to Jayson Tatum in game one. Extremely physical, arms everywhere, bumping into him, not letting him get any clean looks. So for the Celtics, they kind of just played right into the hands of the Bucks offensively. So they're going to have to work on that for game two.
Talk to us about the dominance of Giannis here, because the man deserves a minute. Just a little praise for him, a lot of praise. As you said, playing like the best player in the game right now. Twitter is exploding over what we saw from Giannis in this one.
Yeah, and it should be. I mean, you can't play any better than Giannis played tonight. It was amazing watching him play out there because of his evolution. This was a guy who, even just a few years ago would put his head down, try to get to the basket. Teams started creating that wall at the free throw line. He would pick up charges. He would get frustrated. This game was completely different. He played like a superstar. He played like somebody who was completely in control of his game. And he came out passing the ball on offense in the first quarter. In the second half, the Celtics were sending their double teams a little bit later. So he took advantage of that and started going to the basket, finding his own offense early. And then, of course, when he gets out in transition, he's just an absolute menace. And this isn't even to mention what he was able to do on the defensive end. All that interior defense that we're talking about, it was a lot of Brook Lopez, but it was also a lot of Giannis. So, throwing the ball off the backboard to yourself and dunking in game one is as big a statement as I can think of if you're trying to win another NBA championship.
Game two, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Game two going down Tuesday night there in Boston. Obviously, a lot of adjustments to be made for the Celtics. Give us a look ahead to this one as the Celtics will try to even the series then.
Yeah, if you're the Celtics, I mean, you could take away some things here. Some positives is that you did not shoot the ball well from three. Peyton Pritchard was something like 2 for 8. He's a better shooter than that. Jaylen Brown had an awful game. You can expect him to play a little bit better. And obviously Tatum is going to get used to this kind of defense. But what I really would like to see from the Celtics is maybe a few more mid-range jumpers. The last time I checked it, at some point during the fourth quarter, they had taken one mid-range shot. So we know they hoisted a ton of threes. They tried to get to the basket and were very unsuccessful. So maybe they can find success in that mid-range game. And they do have good mid-range shooters in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. So that's something I would look for. And then defensively, really what would help their defense is limiting those turnovers on offense. the Bucks got out in transition, which allowed them to play their game. And as I mentioned, Giannis in transition, it's basically a done deal. He's going to score. So they can limit their turnovers, and they can make a few more shots. They can force the Bucks to play half-court offense and hope that without Chris Middleton, they can do a little bit better on that end.
Colin, I didn't get to talk to you before the series started. Who was your pick to win this series? And obviously it is very early. A lot of things can change. How are you feeling about it moving forward?
I picked Celtics in 7, and I think if Middleton is out for the entire series, as it's reported that he will be, I'm going to stick with that. I think that the Bucks have all this championship pedigree, all this experience. They came out with a tremendous game plan. And, you know, as good as the Brooklyn Nets are, this is a much different beast, particularly on the defensive end. So I expect Ime Udoka to come out, make adjustments. I expect Tatum and Brown to play better. So I'm sticking with Celtics in 7, but I think this is going to be a tremendous series.
All right, Celtics fans, do not worry yet. Colin is on your side. Colin, thank you so much for joining us here on CBS Sports HQ to break down exactly what went down Game 1. The Bucks taking Game 1 against the Celtics here. We have a lot more coming up on HQ. We're going to bring you pressers. There you see the empty podium, players, coaches getting ready to get in front of the media, answer some questions about what we saw go down. We'll have your full highlights. All that coming up. Stay with us. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.